Welcome to Nerf and Turf. I'm Andrew, and today I'm just going to do a quick little live video. Not that I'm expecting too many people to be watching this live, but I wanted to make it because it's a very easy, quick way to get this video out. I am planning to do, well, I'll first of all talk about what we're doing today. Today I'm going to be doing an overview on all the parts I've 3D printed and all that's on my Etsy store. And that Etsy store is Nerf and Turf. So Nerf, A&D, Turf. So pretty easy with that. So I'm going to do a quick overview of a lot of the parts I have designed and printed myself. And so that's the thing. These aren't parts that I've found and I'm copywriting from other people. These are parts that I fully designed myself and then printed on my printer. So I'm very excited about them and I hope you guys enjoy them. And if you haven't checked out my Etsy store, be sure to check that out, Nerf and Turf on Etsy. I'm trying to keep them pretty cheap. And if you disagree with some of the prices, let me know, and I'd be happy to adjust some of those because I am just getting that started right now on my Etsy store. But one of the offers I'm willing to make is if somebody is, hey, how's it going, Broke Nerfing? But one of the offers I am willing to make is that if you live in the DFW area, is that I won't charge you shipping. I'll be able to deliver it personally to you because I'm just starting to get these parts worked out. So I'm going to start off with one of the blasters that has my favorite parts that I've made so far. So I've got two modded strifes that I've been working on. One that's got the Fanger revamped with IMRs, and that thing is hitting so hard right now. It's a beautiful thing. I'll have to do a video just on that strife, which is this one here. And oh, I've got two IMRs in it. These are the Fanger revamped. It's ridiculously loud, and a screw just came out. That's awkward. But that thing is fantastically loud with two IMRs in it. It's just pegging the wall. Dude, the revamped, I've never heard anything that loud until I plugged those in. I accidentally had 3 IMRs. I know you're not supposed to do IMRs. You're supposed to be doing lipos with those because it could pull charge off of the battery. But so far, I've been running it safe, and it's been running great. But the crazy thing is, yeah, they're so loud. I accidentally had 3 IMRs in it because that's usually what I ran on the traditional motors. And all of a sudden, when I put the revamped in, my ears hurt so bad I had to just put 2 IMRs. It's killing it. It's doing really good right now. Right here, I have my strife that has all my favorite parts that I've 3D printed. I've got magazine extended release down here. Now, that part I didn't actually make myself. I printed it myself, but I'll be making my own extended release eventually. But for right now, we have a front attachment that, as you can see, has the larger and the smaller attachments that fit into all the attachment nozzles, and then it just screws in. It's quite tight. And the thing with this one that I made is this is the most narrow tube out the end. And so darts can hypothetically catch like on my retaliator. It's not shooting hard enough that it could get caught in that, especially if I'm using AccuFix or something. But for a flywheel power blaster, it's shooting it out hard enough or with enough velocity that it's not getting caught in the front barrel. And so that thing's really sweet. I had a lot of fun designing it. And it's fitting very tight so far. So I'm liking that. This right here is like a front tactical sight, and it's no, it's not going to be the most accurate, but no Nerf blaster is accurate. It's just small. It looks really cool. And then I made my own stock, so it doesn't have the clip on yet. I'm planning to design that. But for right now, it's just a friction fit, and it stays on when you're playing. And it's a pretty short, but it's more for an SMG-styled stock. Also, that's as tall as my printer can print. So that's fun. Because right now I'm on a very small 3D printer, but for making parts, for the most part, that's all I need. The stock is the only thing I'm going to eventually need something a little bit bigger on. But no, all of these 3 main parts that are my favorite, those were all, I designed them myself on Fusion 360. Which is the program I've been using to design things. And so I made all of the dimensions, all of the sizes myself. And then I printed them, and those are all 3 of those, or not the stock, but the other 2 parts on my Etsy store. I'll be adding the stock. It's not quite refined yet, and it's even got little ridges on the back. I'm really proud of that. But it's a really sweet SMG. This one currently has a crush flywheel in that I printed. It's an open flywheel system that I didn't develop it, but I printed it, and I'm planning to make some modifications to it because right now I've just got 2 IMRs in here. but you can hear there's a little bit of a drag on there. And so that's the thing when you 3D print flywheel cages, they're not going to be perfect. And so I'm planning to do some modifications to that flywheel cage so I can sell a fully 3D printed flywheel cage to people. And so that one's a 42 millimeter crush. What the normal ones they sell are 43 or 44. I want to say it's 44.5 millimeters is the crush rate on a normal flywheel cage. This one's 42, so it's a lot smaller. And so this one, it's still got the stock motors, and at 43.5 is stock. Thank you, Brooke. But this one's a 42. 41.5 is pretty tight. That's generally what people consider a high crush rate is the 42. Yeah, the 41.5 to 42. It's going to be high crush rate. You can get smaller than that, but at that point, you're definitely going to be having jams if your motors aren't strong enough, because I've still got stock motors in those. And so I can definitely hear a bog down if I start firing too many times. You can definitely hear the motors begin to bog down a bit. So eventually I'm going to get some more Fenger revamped and put those in with this flywheel cage, and it's just going to zoom them out. So I'm very excited about that concept. But that's enough for that strife. I'm going to get my other strife out here to demonstrate all my other parts. So that's what I've got for that. Let's go with the barrel attachments for now. So I have this. This is, I guess, what you would consider a compensator, silencer compensator, although no attachment you put on a real firearm would actually silence it. So that's why they're generally referred to as suppressors or compensators or whatever. And so that one goes on there. And the beautiful thing about when I designed that was I made it so wide that it's not going to interfere at all. So it's all for the looks. Did I rewire? Oh, yes, I rewired it. I rewired both my strives. I actually went through them recently, and the wiring wasn't exactly what I wanted. So I did a full rewire on both of my strives, and they're working really well now. So I'm getting to the point where throwing or rewiring these things is so fast. Hey, how's it going, Austin? But this is the other front barrel attachment that I created, wide enough that's not going to get in the way, and then it's got the vent, so it looks like a flash hider or muzzle brake or whatever you would want to call it. So I've got that, and then I've got what I kind of refer to as my Han Solo attachments to the front. Head cold from the war and statue. Oh, that's never fun. Oh, I had a head cold the other week. That sucked. But here I've got what I'm calling just my flash hider for now. It's on all these parts that I'm going to show you from here on are on my Etsy store. So this one, again, is pretty short and it's very wide. And so the goal with that is it's not going to get in the way of the dart's path. And so for the most part, it's just a cosmetic mod. That's what most Nerf attachments really are. They're not going to do anything really sweet. I know the goal is that it looks like a smuggler gun or a pirate gun when you add that on there. And it's still got the holes in it, so it still looks like a flash hider. So that one's really sweet. It looks more like a sci-fi or pirate type gun. And so these, most of the attachments are great for cosmetic mods. And so you can sand these down and paint them. It's going to look sweet. My Etsy store name is Nerf&Turf, not Nerf&Turf, like with the ampersand like my YouTube channel, but it's going to be Nerf&Turf. I'll type. I put a link right. Oh, it's not going to let me add a link. Oh, well, in the description that I put on this video, my store should be there. But if you type in Nerf&Turf, it's going to bring up Nerf&Turf springs, which is a company that makes fantastic springs. But then it's going to give you an option of, is this what you meant? And it's going to be Nerf&Turf, the store. And so you can click on that and my items should come up. I've got 10 items on there currently that that are prepared for sale. I've got some other items I'm working on that I'm eventually going to add. Ooh, that doesn't sound fun, Austin. Yeah, when you look it up on the Etsy store, you're going to find the Nerf&Turf springs. Again, fantastic springs, especially for retaliators and stuff. But then you click on the underlined thing that says, did you mean this? And it's going to then bring you to the store. Because when you search, it's usually searching for items, not actual store names. Same happens if you look for anything like Out of Darts. It's usually going to show his products, and then it's going to let you click on his actual store link. So same with mine, although he's moving off of Etsy because he is getting big enough for that. And that's so cool for him. But moving on to more parts. See, those are the two muzzle parts. And then we're going to move on to the sights, or I'll start with the scopes. So I've got one low set scope that's got like one rectile thing, or rectal thing, whatever you call it, in the middle there. And so all of the attachments for the rails have the tooth, so it still will fit into the spring. And let's see if you can hear it. So see right there, it actually clicks into the spring. So I have those set up so it's really sturdy and it's not going anywhere. And so this one's really fun. I tested these out with some friends. We had a small little war with my little cousins the other day, and we used all these sights. And they enjoyed this one. I'll show you their favorite last. But this one was really sweet. I think this one's going, let me check. This one's $10 on my Etsy store right now. I'll probably be dropping that price because this one's just a very small one. And then I've got my raised sight or scope, whatever you want to call it. And this one's going to be a lot bigger. It's got more things inside there. So it's really nice to line up. It's going to sit a little higher off of your blaster. That way you don't have to like have your cheek down on your blaster, regardless of like how big of a stock you have. But this one's going to be set higher up. So it's like a much easier way to get things nailed on it. Interesting. Because I honestly, HVZ is the way to go with Nerf right now. I love Nerf Wars, but man, I'd love to get an HVZ event set up at my college. I know that Laterno is setting up a really sweet one down in South Texas for, I want to say November 13th. I'm not honestly sure on that. Let me check that out because I'm very excited about that. I know they've had an HVZ community there, and Joshua had invited me. So let me see if I can find that. Because HVZ is such a fun setup that I'm definitely wanting to get more into and learn how to actually set that up here in the DFW, get a really sweet one going. Because that would be really fun to get an HVZ around here. Sounds awesome. Let's see. It's going to be October 12th. That's the Laterno Fall HVZ Invitational. So it is by invite. If I do a war, yes, it will most likely. If I do it, I'm planning to do one more over the summer. It'll probably be at the same park I did it last time. I'll make an official announcement for that. Yeah, October 12th through the 14th is Laterno's HVZ Invitational. So that's an invitational. So I'm not sure if they're making that super open, but that's going to be sweet. Let's move on. Next, I have like a rifle sight, which is, I'll show you. I have a smaller pistol hollow sight that I'll show here in a minute. But again, it fits on the rails. It clicks into the tooth. It's got a little jiggle, but it's not going anywhere. I was about to say, how great would that be if it just flew off, as I said. And so again, it's got the rectals inside, or recti, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. And so it lines up pretty easily. Again, it's bigger, so it's easier to line up. Plus, it looks really sweet. This one in particular, let's see if I have it down here. I've got a Stormtrooper pump blaster, like the side fed one that's super sweet. And when I put this one on the other day, it just looks like a Stormtrooper sight. Not that a Stormtrooper is ever going to hit anything, but it just has the great setup for that. And then you can easily paint these things, sand them down, paint them a little bit, and they're going to look sweet. Dude, glad your project's going great, Austin. That's sweet. The rail itself is kind of tight, and so there are, especially with the older blasters, they don't fit on quite as well, just because the rails for all the blasters have changed just a little bit. But the Strife for me has been a very good base rail to design all of my things off of. Next, I've got kind of a silly sight. This beautiful little thing is kind of the goal was to make a front sight that's just a little ridiculous. But I made that, and that's really fun. It's got a very thick line in the middle, so you can line up your blaster. And so that one's a very simple one I made. Next, I'm going on to my iron sight, which is very small. But you're just going to clip it on right there. That's the one I have on my other one. That's more of my scorpion style kit. Ooh, I hadn't thought about that. I might have to move on to that. Yes. To the Oblivion Game Freak site. Ooh, I might have to move on to that. That'll be fun. But this iron sight is one of the just very basic ones. I think I've just got it on my store for like just a couple bucks because it's pretty simple, pretty small. And so that's the really sweet part about that one. That might be one of my favorite ones. Not that it looks the coolest, but it's very understated, very chill, very subtle. And then I made a similar one that's another iron sight, but it's got a curve around the outside of it. And so it's just got a very sweet aesthetic to it. Lines up really easily. And then finally, last but not least, probably my favorite sight. And it was the first one I made, actually. Or the first one that I made well and printed at my school. But it's like my pistol sight. And so I've made a couple variations of it. And this is the one I ended with because it's working really well. And so it's small enough that it's not really going to get in the way. But it still aims really well. In the last war I had, I'll get to that in a second. But this is probably my favorite sight that I've made. It's my pistol hollow sight. But this is when I brought it to my cousins and I showed them all of my parts that I had made. This is the one they all gravitated towards. So it's the one I'm planning to print the most of. And they all are print to order. So as soon as you order them on the Etsy store, I'll be putting them on. But it just looks really sweet. It's really easy to aim, what a hollow reflex sight, whatever you want to call it. But it's really easy to quickly aim with that. So I'm really enjoying that. And for now, that's all the parts I've printed. I'm designing a couple. I'm working on a couple various things, working on some rival sites even. Working out that rail is going to be fun. But those are all the main parts that I've made. Again, probably my top parts are going to be this barrel extension that I made that looks like a flash hider type thing. That just looks really sweet. Let's see. I think I have I got my retaliator down here just to show you it does fit on all front attachments, and it just looks really sweet. The thing, I'm planning to get some orange filament soon because you can order the black one. Thing is, you're not going to want to take that outside as it can be misconstrued for a firearm. So you just got to be careful about that. And so I'm planning to get some orange filament for that, although you can order it in black because I plan to use the black when I'm in an indoor or very closed setting using it. And so it just looks really sweet. That's one of my favorite parts that I've made. Again, this is like my Scorpion Evo type setup. It's not perfect. No, it's not a model, but it's what I made. It's the stock I designed, the front sight, and then the flash hider, which just looks really sweet. My other next two favorite items are going to be the small low scope that just fits really well in your blaster, and it just looks sleek. It's got a really fun look to it. And then finally, the pistol sight. Probably my favorite out of everything that I've designed and printed, just because it's very low profile. They all click in because of the tooth, but it's just very low profile and it fits on very well. And it just has the most sweet, understated look, both that and the small front sight thing. So those are the parts that I've designed. Let me know which one you're the most excited about. Be sure to check out my Etsy store. Again, that is Nerf&Turf. And as I said before, the Nerf&Turf springs are going to come up first. So you're going to click on a Did You Mean? And it's going to bring you to my store, the actual store site. And I've got 10 parts on there, and I'm planning to add some more. But I'm just only for now trying to put on only the parts that I've truly refined, and I'm prepared to. So let me look at some of these comments some people sent. Yes, for Colton, it will be at the same park as before if I do a war. And if not, I'll let you know. I'm trying to see if I can get a gym reserved because where I'm living right now, it is like 107 degrees every day. And that's just getting annoying at this point. So I'm trying to figure, that's why I haven't done any wars recently. And life's also gotten crazy for me. But my goal is to try to find an indoor one. And if not, we'll just sweat outside and we'll get healthy and get our steps in because steps, important stuff. Do I do Nerf mods for people? Colton asked. Yeah, I've only really made one, but I would be way on board with doing actual commissions for people, whether that's rewiring, putting in parts, and that kind of thing, and then shipping it out to you. So yes, I would be very on board with making commissioned Nerf blasters, whether that's just a 3D printed part that you're like, hey, I'd be very interested in this particular type of part, and I can design that and print that, throw it on my Etsy store for you. So I'm so taking those kind of commissions. I'm taking full blaster build commissions. And what was Austin saying? Yes, I would love to collaborate with you to help you make some parts. So just let me know what you need. Rent out a trampoline park. You know, I've thought about that, but expensive and you lose all your darts. I mean, you lose most of your darts. That was the trampoline park the other day. That was incredibly fun. Sorry, I sound like Chandler Bing there, but I think that's true. I've also got a sorry, I'm working on something. I've also got a my church gym that I was thinking about using that I can set up paintball style, or not exactly paintball, but it would be a paintball styled arena that I could make that work. And I feel like that would be pretty sweet. No, yeah, that is my goal. That way it's an indoor facility, an indoor arena, so it's not terrible. Because as much as we all love to sweat, it's never fun. Well, a lot of churches have been doing Nerf wars because it's a great outreach for them just to invite people. And I know the youth group I work with, we do a lot of events. And so I'm petitioning to get that, not as a youth group event necessarily, but just to use the space. And I've got a great church that's very welcoming and they're on board with that. I'm just trying to figure out a date for that. And so I've just added my email in here, which is nerf.and.turf95@gmail.com. That way you can email me if you want commission-based things, if you want various things like that, to do things together. If you want to ask me about parts, blasters, that kind of thing, make sure to get that email and email to me. It should be in the description of almost all of my videos that I post. In this video, I've only got my Etsy store link so far, but I'll add some other things in a bit. Yeah, and NIC level wars, those would be really fun here in Texas. I mean, what is the exact definition of an NIC war? I mean, are we talking... Because I've heard various people talk about it. I never actually heard a direct exact definition. So what would you say an NIC war league in Texas would look like? Dude, that would be sweet to do a mod party with DFW people. I know we've got the DFW Nerfing community group, and they've got some sick mods. And so I'd love to do a group where we all messed around with that. My price for rewired Strife, I mean, that would include many variables, including how much it would cost for me to get my hands on a Strife right now, and then get the rewire for you. And if you wanted motors in it, what type of motors, if you needed any things removed, that kind of thing. I would need to know that before I would take a commission like that. And so I probably need to, that's my bad. I need to set up that kind of thing. So let me know, especially in an email, Colton, at nerf.and.turf95@gmail.com. I'll make sure to throw it in the description as well, so you can get that to me. Yeah, sorry, I've got some stuff pulled up over here so I can make sure I get that information to you guys. No, I would love to do a mod party. Just bring my soldering iron and we all just sit down and work on stuff. Because, man, soldering Nerf blasters is so much fun. I never thought it would be. It was like one of the most stressful things I've ever done. The first 2 or 3 times I soldered and fully did a rewire on my blaster, I was terrified that I would mess something up. And then I kind of realized you can't, not that you can't ruin it, but you can make it work. And it's awesome. Okay, so NIC War would, okay, 150 to 200 FPS cap with a slightly wooded, okay. Dude, doing a homemades only round would be fun. I still need to get a homemade going. Yeah, those are, because I know that Drac has some amazing videos of him running around his NIC Wars in Georgia, where he's just running around in these giant cedar woods and just what looks like a park. And they're all just running around at huge distances, just sniping each other with caliburns and homemades. And those are fun videos. I enjoy those. So no, that kind of war group set up here in the DFW would be quite a lot of fun to get that going. I'm planning to do a video, especially once I get some of my other mods set up. I might even do mod bundles where I'll bundle 2 or 3 of my items, like such as these 3 items on here, like the top front sight, the front flash hider, and then the stock, those kind of things. I'd love to just sell that as like a bundle. I'm selling those parts individually, not the stock yet, because I still need to do a couple little things. And get that kind of thing set up. So I'm very excited by that. Again, Etsy store Nerf and Turf. So yeah. So I've got all the items I showed you are all on my store aside from the stock that I showed you, and those are 10 items, all for under $10. I don't have an item for over $10 on there. And then shipping, except for if you live in the DFW area, if you contact me, we could do like a cash purchase type thing where I can come deliver the part to you, just as my way to get that out there, because I'd love to just start to get parts out to people and hear people's opinions on it and that kind of thing. Is it? Let's see, Skylar just asked, to your question, yes, it is. Many people are doing it on Thingiverse especially. You can see a lot of people that are putting their plans on there. That's what the FDL is. That's what the Caliburn is. That's what various things are, where a lot of people are selling shells of blasters. They'll sell something very similar to the Strife, but it'll look different. You know, they fully change it. It's a fully 3D printed model that looks similar to this. And then you strap the internals into that. So you can straight up put your Strife internals into it, or you can put much better internals in it. So many people are doing that kind of thing. And I'm planning to do that eventually. But right now I'm operating off of a much smaller 3D printer than that would work with. And so for right now, I'm planning to design those, prepare for those. But for right now, I'm so excited, so blessed with the 3D printer I have. So I'm going to utilize that to the best of its ability. And right now, that's just attachments and parts and that kind of thing. However, still being a college student, I can use the 3D printer at my school. And then I know The Arlington Public Library, I believe, also has a 3D printer set up. And I know that a lot of towns and cities are starting to invest in that kind of public service of having 3D printers. I know my library does in my university, and also the Arlington Public Library, I believe, has one. And so various things like that. And so it's becoming a very accessible thing for people. But it's getting the exact printing dimensions, it's getting the exact details and small structural supports and how to print, and the physics and engineering behind the print. And I've turned to a lot of my engineering friends for help with that, which has been awesome. Trying to think what else I was going to. Oh yeah, and so those kind of printers are going to be larger, and those would be things I could print a full-scale blaster on. And so my plan is to actually make a design for a cheap 3D printed blaster that you can then throw your Strife internals into, or you can throw 3D printed internals into, like the pusher mech and that kind of thing. Even the flywheel cages now, flywheels themselves you can now 3D print, which is just such an interesting thing. Ooh, that's really sweet that you can find a cheap 3D printing group on Facebook, which is awesome. I know for me, almost done with this, but I'm going to show you guys my 3D printer, which was my birthday present from my parents and my grandparents, which is really, really cool of them. I'm very blessed to be where I'm at. But it's a very small monoprice mini printer. And so it's a 120 millimeter cubed printing surface, which is small. And I got this for $200. Which isn't a lot really for a 3D printer. Most of them are going to be around $500 to a couple hundred, depending upon the exact 3D printer, depending upon the dimensions of it, and depending upon what you're going to do with it. And the thing is, my brother, an engineer, brilliant guy, he has one that he's been building himself. And so it's going to be a much better printer than mine, much bigger. But I know for me, I don't have the skills, and I haven't been trained to set up 3D printing and do the that aspect and that side of it. And so I built this, which was pre-made, pre-set up. And so I had to do very minimal. I still had to do setup with it, but very minimal setup. And it's a beautiful printer. It's doing exactly what I need for it to do. Plan to get some more filament orange for the barrel extensions, and also I'm looking into finding some really good glow-in-the-dark filament, just because that would be super sweet to have a barrel that glows in the dark. I mean, that would just be so cool. So planning to find and get that. But that is my 3D printer. Super sweet, super blessed with how the Lord has provided for me right now. Good times and bad, he's still there, and he's still providing. And so praise the Lord for all that. Yeah, so for the most part, that's all my parts. Be sure to check that out on my Etsy store. Plan to do a video talking about them in more detail, but this was just a really quick, fast, easy way to get this video out for you guys. So I'm probably going to head on. So the goal is to do a war either, most likely it's going to be in August now, another DFW area, or I'll give you more details on that in a bit. So make sure you check that out, because they're super sweet parts. And I'm planning to use them in videos and that kind of thing. And also I'll plan to bring them to some of my wars and do a couple giveaways with some of the 3D printed products that I make. So raffles and that kind of thing for 3D printed products, and also bring some test products out to have other people try them out and see if they're working, see if people enjoy them, see what everyone's favorite is. Make sure to comment after I end the video. You can comment on the video itself, and those are the permanent comments that everyone's going to see. So make sure you comment after this video on what was your favorite 3D printed part. I know for me, my favorites are the barrel extender flash hider type thing, the pistol sight, which is really sweet, and then, oh, where's it hiding? Oh, here it is. And then the low scope. So make sure to comment after the video to let me know which one is your favorite part, which one are you most excited about, which one are you most contemplating purchasing. So let me know. Again, offer I'm willing to make for DFW individuals is that contact me either via email, and we can do a cash purchase. so that you don't have to pay shipping, and I will bring it to you. I'm only going to have that offer through August, just because it's very, I know shipping can be a problem for some people. And so I'm still trying to work out the shipping on my end as well. And I've got a system set up, so I'm ready for that. Yeah. There you go, Austin. I think that is it. So be sure to check the Etsy store out. Be sure to send me an email if you have questions about commission builds. If you have questions about parts that you're like, hey, I love that scope, but could you add a dragon shooting out the front? And I would be happy to accommodate you. Dude, I'm really excited for another war. That first one was sweet. And just very excited for just getting to interact with people, have fun. And I'm excited to bring my Kronos again. I love firing that Kronos. I don't get to shoot it too much with the K26 in it because I don't want to kill anybody in my backyard. And also I want to get my fingers revamped out in a war. I'm very excited about that. So, yeah. Get on out there, nerf your turf. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.